to get on the train here, or do you want to ruin another take, huh?
There ain't no goddamn takes. Ain't no goddamn motion picture.
You sure?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah?
For certain, man.
Why are you still in character?
I know, but I don't have to tell you.
You don't know.
Man, I don't drop character till I done a DVD commentary.
Welcome to the Bread and Thorns podcast.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Bread and Thorns podcast, a bi-weekly podcast where we sit down and discuss literature, art, and media, and other stuff that we really like and how they influence the projects that we are working on. I'm Isaac.
And I'm Rosemary.
And today we are going to discuss
Tropic
Thunder! Woo!
I love this movie.
You love this movie?
It's
I
a
also
good movie.
really like this movie.
It's a good movie.
Let's get this out of the way first. It's in your top 10.
It is in my top 10.
Of course. And which one is it?
It is number 9 for me.
Okay. And it's also in my top 10.
What?
But it is number 5 for me.
Yes.
And so that's our reveal.
good thing.
This is Tropic Thunder.
Yay.
Just as a warning for everybody out there, this movie is a little bit. How do you
There's
say
so many
this?
words. Vulgar, raunchy, explicit. Explicit is the kind word.
It is very profane.
Yes.
And so just as a warning to our listeners, there are going to be quotes and things that we mention in this movie that may be a little bit offensive to the ears.
Please take a little bit out for for purposes. But, yes.
I mean, we're not going to take anything out of this podcast,
Yeah.
but we're going to try to keep it on down low. But of course, when we're quoting them, we're going to have to use the same words. And so hopefully you guys can forgive us for quoting people exactly.
Yeah, and I hope that you enjoy it too, because one of the reasons why I love this movie so much is because of how funny it is while being this vulgar. Because usually there's like a grossness to vulgarity where it's just like usually it's just okay, that's a little bit much, and this movie takes too much, pushes it further, and is still somehow actually funny.
Yeah, it's the profanity and the gratuitousness of this movie actually supports what the movie's trying to say. I mean, there's literally a guy named the Gross Man.
Yeah.
Right, Les Grossman, who is a brilliantly imagined character.
He's so amazing. And it's one of those things where the first time you watch the movie, half of these actors, you don't realize who the actor that's playing them is, because they're so well acted and they're so well costumed that you're just like, wait, that was Tom Cruise?
Right.
That was Robert Downey Jr.?
Right.
Wait, what? It's so startling. It's
so for those who don't
beautiful.
know, Tropic Thunder is a 2008 action comedy film directed by Ben Stiller. It stars Ben Stiller.
Yes.
Sorry, I said Stiller. Ben Stiller. Sorry, sir. It also stars Jack Black, Robert Downey Jr., I can't pronounce this guy's name, but Baruchel?
Probably Baruchel or something.
The other guy's name is easy. Brandon T. Jackson. He's in here as well. And there are several, I think in the original, people didn't really know these, or in the trailers, people didn't know that these were the people that were in it. But of course, it has Tom Cruise in it. It has Matthew McConaughey.
Oh, yeah.
And a bunch of other actors that both act as themselves or act as actual characters.
And there's there's so many side characters, like little mini, like the bad guy characters that are in so many movies.
Right.
Like I was looking through all the like Vietnamese bad guy shooter peoples, and I was like, wait, I know you. Oh my gosh, I don't know what I know you from, but I know you. I know you. I know you. Like, just like, anyway, it was hilarious.
I think that's part of the brilliance of the movie. You have all these people that come in and you know them.
Yeah.
But do you know them? Where are they from? Where are they really from?
I just realized right now that the second in command for the little tiny Vietnamese leader guy, the little kid guy, he's from Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yes.
It took me a second. I was like, wait, why do I know his face? And it hit me days later that like, oh.
So
anyway.
you have these, and it's very, again, this movie kind of, it's kind of a satire. I actually have a quote from Ben Stiller here. He says, "I feel the tone of the movie is its own thing. I think there are elements of satire, but I don't think it should be categorized just as that.
Yeah.
There are elements of parody in it, but obviously I don't think it's just that. I feel like hopefully it's its own thing, which has a lot of familiar stuff that we are playing off of. And so it's not exactly one or the other. It's not just satire. It's not just parody. It's not just comedy. It's not just it is its own thing, and that's why I think I rate it so highly. Of course, we both rate it very highly, but I also rate it so highly. It's been in my top 10 for a really long time.
And it would have only been recently kicked out of the top 5 too.
No, it
right?
is top 5 because it is the number 5.
Fine, it is number 5, but like out of top 3
it used to be higher.
or something.
It used to be higher
because of like
But yes, other movies did kick it down. But Tropic Thunder, I believe it was number 3 at one point. because this movie, when I first watched it, I laughed so hard throughout
the
it,
entire way through.
and I just didn't know what I didn't know a comedy could get me on. I guess this kind of. Of course, it's absolutely hilarious. It has slapstick humor and everything, but it's also really smart humor. And I couldn't believe, wow, this movie has everything that I could ever want out of a comedy. How did you first hear or about this movie or see this movie?
What's really funny is, you know how there are movies that you watch as a kid, or like say you watch like The Simpsons or something, and like maybe some of it makes sense to you and it's funny and whatnot and it works, but you don't laugh nearly as hard as your parents do.
Right.
So my uncle gave my dad a this is gonna go against things. So theoretically, my uncle gave my dad a pirated copy of the DVD. Theoretically, this is all hypothetical, guys. Way back in like 2008,
this is no
2009.
longer hypothetical. I don't think you can get away with.
I'd like
in
it to
any
only
court
be
ever.
a hypothetical felony, if possible.
A hypothetical felony.
Hypothetical felony. Anyway.
Well, at least you won't get in trouble.
my uncle gave my dad this movie, and it was something where like, and it was one of those weird ones where like you see like the cover of the movie printed like raw, like directly onto the DVD kind of thing, and it was like and then no, it wasn't. I'm so sorry. It was basically just like black Sharpie, just like Tropic Thunder on this, and I was like, okay, that sounds funny, and so I remember putting it in and like watching it, and I had no idea what I was watching. It didn't make sense to me, and like it was funny, but it didn't. Because I was expecting something else. I don't know what I was expecting, but it was something else.
I think most people were expecting something else, like when this movie first came out, because it's.
But I was also like 12.
Right. Okay.
So
wait, you watched this when you were 12?
I was like 11 or 12, maybe 12 and a half. I think I was like 12 and a half when I watched it.
I guess most of this would go
like,
over your head when you're 12 years old.
And I didn't catch Tom Cruise. I didn't catch Robert Downey Jr. That wasn't until like earlier this year when Isaac was like, "Wait, you haven't like." He was upset that like I couldn't remember. I was
a little bit upset that you didn't
Tropic
remember
Thunder.
Tropic Thunder.
Like I'd seen it and I couldn't remember it, and he was like, "Wait," like because he was discussing different things, and I was like, "Wait, what are you talking about?" He's like, "These are important parts, and you don't remember them." And I was like, "Okay, I'll go watch it." So I did. I got like the unrated director's cut too. I was like, "All right, this is everything it could possibly be." And 2 or 3 hours later, I was like, "Oh my God, this is an amazing movie!"
Right.
And then we proceeded to talk about it for like a few days, and it was nice. So that was awesome.
I think the part that probably shocked me the most was that you didn't remember Tom Cruise was in the movie.
Yeah.
And for me,
and
when
Robert
I
Downey
first,
I think it was both that you were like,
right,
how?
Yeah, Robert Downey Jr. Well, Robert Downey Jr.
You were less upset with that
I was less
one.
upset because he's in total blackface.
Oh yeah,
in
literal
this movie,
blackface.
until the very, very end.
Yeah.
But Tom Cruise was actually one of the characters that when I saw the movie at first, I knew it was Tom Cruise, but it took me a second.
Yeah.
Because he looked so familiar, but so
different.
Right, so different. And I was like, this guy looks like a fat somebody.
Yeah.
And I go, a fat Tom Cruise. Wait, is this Tom Cruise? Why are his hands so big? Why is his hands so fat?
He had fat suits for his hands.
Why is he so
dudes,
bald?
He's
and
just like he's so confident.
Right.
He's such a confident, like fat, gross man.
Yeah.
But he's so beautiful at the same time. And then at the end of the movie when he's all dancing and whatnot, and you're like, he has a bubble butt. Like, what is this? Why is this happening to me? I don't understand.
That was so brilliantly done.
So great.
I didn't really actually know until the credits when it says and Tom Cruise as Les Grossman, and that was the confirmation.
Yeah.
But throughout the movie, I kept thinking this guy looks so much like Tom Cruise, but he's
it can't
so
be anyone
different.
else, but it can't be him.
Right. He's so different from what Tom Cruise actually or really does. It completely jarred me when I was watching the movie, and then just the hilarity ensued. Yeah,
it's just magical.
And so the second time you watched it was when I actually recommended, or was there?
Yes. Okay. I think I might have attempted to watch it at some other time in my teen years, and I didn't finish it. It was just something where like I started it with friends, and then it was on TV or something like that, and we had to like leave before the movie was over, something like that. But But yeah, so the first legitimate time of recalling and knowing what's going on was earlier this year, and so it was one of those like, this is on my top 10. It was like
It was
pretty-
immediately on your top
It was
10.
immediately. I finished the movie and I was thinking about it because like when we were starting to like think about the top 10 stuff at that point, because it was in like February, so we were still thinking about like podcast and episodes and what to do it on and like top 10 and like let's go. And so it was something where I was thinking about it and I was going through it and I was like, no, I can't not have this on there. Like it's just, and so it was originally number 10, and then I had moved things around and I took one or two things off, and then I was like, okay, nope, this is okay, so it's going up to 9. Honestly, as I get older,
has
it
to
will
be on
probably
there.
keep moving up, because one of the things is, so I didn't get like half the references. I just thought they were funny.
Right.
I didn't even realize that they were references. And then I had to like look up like Kangaroo Jack and like a dingo ate my baby and like had to figure out where that came from, which is a tragic story where apparently like Meryl Streep was in a movie about the tragic story where like this daughter was like just taken by a dingo. Anyway, but yeah, like I don't get half the reference. So I feel like as I get older, as I recognize and watch more things and I actually get, it'll be funnier and funnier and funnier as I watch it.
Right. But now that you know the reference, when you go back and you watch Kirk or Robert Downey Jr.'s Kirk Lazarus get so I guess worked up when he gets made fun of.
I just thought he was being made fun of,
Right.
like because he's Australian.
But
I
now you
didn't
know why.
realize it was
Now you know why
worse.
it is. And so yeah, it's great.
It's so great.
So for again, let's summarize the movie.
Oh, so first, okay,
okay.
because my favorite part of the movie, other than Tom Cruise dancing, is actually the beginning of the movie when they do the little rundown of like this. So like there were 4 men who were in like the Vietnam War
Right.
and this, that, and the other, and like 4 of them told their story. 4 of them wrote books. 3 of them were published. Of those 3, 2 were able to like get money from it, and then this is the one that like that only one of them made a movie,
Right.
and this is the story of the men who attempted to make that
Right.
movie, and
Yeah,
like
yeah.
and it's such a brilliant rundown. So anyway, that's basically what the story is.
That
but
rundown really kind of it goes into, it's kind of like Monty Python in the beginning of Monty Python, where you have these explanations, right?
Yes.
And then suddenly it kind of stops because I forgot like people were fired or something like that.
because there was the a moose one bit my sister.
Right. Yeah.
Like, little subtitles.
Like
and
yeah, right.
whatnot.
The subtitles underneath
Oh my gosh, I love
were
that
getting
movie
messed
so
up.
much. Anyway, but yeah, and so it's something where it's like, okay, the people who were responsible for firing those people have been fired.
Yeah. So it's in the same vein, and that Monty Python also did it really, really brilliantly. And this movie takes kind of that
they're so
idea
good.
of the historical epic,
Yeah.
where you have these very serious, I guess, narrator or narrated expositions,
Yeah.
and they take it and then they just make fun of it, right? And within that
beautiful.
thing, and it's just really well done. But actually, that's not the beginning of the movie.
No.
That's not the beginning of the movie, because the beginning of this movie starts with
Booty
5
sweat.
trailers. Yeah.
It starts with booty sweat.
And I think so. I watched this movie because a lot of movies that I watch are recommended from like various family members or friends, and so
Like Princess Bride, which he is a disappointment to us all after
he
you watch
is
that.
a disappointment. You mean Princess
Dishonor
Bride is a
on your
disappointment?
family,
Yeah.
Dishonor on you, dishonor on your family, dishonor on your cow.
That's Mulan.
Don't like Princess Bride. How dare you?
And so,
Anyway, sorry. That's my rant.
so if people haven't listened to our Princess Bride episode, I believe that was episode 3. You guys can go listen to that.
Yeah.
I wasn't as disappointed in that movie, but
He
you
wasn't
know.
as disappointed as he. Well, actually, he kind of went into it with like medium expectations, and they were met, which is an insult to everyone who loves the movie. You went
Well-
in, and your expectations were not exceeded or lowered. It was just like, oh, I get a bunch more references now. Like how? Sorry, okay, I'm getting sidetracked.
We're
by
supposed
how
to be
upset I was.
talking about Tropic Thunder. You
So
keep mentioning
back
other
to
movies.
trailers and things.
I'm just kidding.
But yeah, so
The movie actually starts with a trailer, and when this movie was introduced to me, my brother was the one that introduced it to me, and I didn't really want to watch it because the poster of it looks like a
typical action movie.
yeah, it's an action movie, and I was kind of into sci-fi and fantasy movies at that point in my life, serious ones, and I didn't really want to watch comedy. But my brother was like, "You got to watch this movie. It's absolutely hilarious." And so I got the movie. I forgot. Was it? I think it was like iTunes or something like that. It was like an iTunes rent or something.
Wow. Okay.
And so I downloaded the movie from there and I started watching it. And the first thing is booty sweat.
Yes.
Right? And I'm watching this thing and I'm going, okay, my brother just recommended a really vulgar like comedy, and I don't watch those raunchy things. Like
Yeah.
that's not one of my things.
Yeah.
And so I was like, okay, I'm probably gonna turn this off in a couple minutes. And then it got to the Tug Speedman trailer, and I was
Scorcher.
and I from that point on, I was laughing my head off the entire way through the movie because it was just so ridiculous.
And I honestly wish, like 2008, I would have been like 11 years old. Ironically, I just realized this is the same year that the events in The Big Short were happening.
Yes.
Sorry, my brain just. Anyway, so basically, yeah, I would have been like 10 or 11.
There's actually some references in this movie to what is happening. Yeah. It's pretty great.
Again, as I get older, when I get older, I'll understand.
Yeah, you'll see.
Just in my 20s, but I'm not old enough yet. Anyway, so it was something where I really wish that I'd gone into like theaters to see this. I know for a fact that would never have flown.
Right.
But it would have been so cool because like I would have loved to like be as confused as everyone else in the theater.
Yeah.
Because the second again, so it comes on and you have these chicks just twerking in booty shorts and like this deep voice like booty sweat, like it just starts like this thing and you're like, what am I watching? What is going on? And the beautiful thing for me was, so it was like, okay, here's booty sweat, it's an energy drink, let's go. It also pairs like perfectly well with like bust a nut like protein bar. It's just like, what is going on? And then it goes to the Scorcher trailer, which is like the world needed him to save them and he stepped up and he did it. And then he did it again, and then he did it
three more times.
and then the funny part is that so this trailer is like, all right, so now the world needs him again, but can he do it? It's like da-da-da-da. It's like everything's being destroyed and whatnot, and this time he's gonna do it again. But this time it's different, and it's just but yeah, Isaac loves the part where it's like you basically pan to like Ben Stiller / like Tug Speedman, holding 2 guns and 2 babies and just like Arctic wasteland, and it's like global meltdown, and it's so.
It's the fact that he has 2 guns and 2 babies.
Yes.
I think that image just set me off.
Which means that in Scorcher 5 he must have had like 1 gun and 1 baby, or maybe he had 1 gun in number 4, and then he had 1 baby and 1 gun in number 5. This is Scorcher 6.
This is Scorcher 6.
Scorcher 6, global meltdown.
The man who made a difference 5 times before, but this time it's different.
Oh my gosh.
I think I don't remember that this, for some reason, whenever I watch this movie, unless I'm kind of on a roll and I'm just watching, I'm watching this movie like over and over again. But for some reason, if there's a break between watching times, I guess, and for some reason, I don't remember that this movie starts with trailers. And every single time,
it surprises me.
Immediate booty sweat.
Yes.
And I go into panic mode because I'm thinking, is there going to be a kid coming in, or hopefully my wife doesn't come in and think I'm watching this weird pornographic stuff, because it's just I remember it like immediately. I'm like, oh, this is really hilarious, but then that fear comes in, like, oh my gosh, I don't want kids, right? I don't want there's just like this completely inappropriate thing to come in, but it's just so jarring, and it just puts. I think it does it perfectly. It puts you in that mood of understanding this is a different movie. This is about the whole film watching theater going experience.
I both love and hate that feeling though, because it's one of those things where like so often when I'm at my music store on my lunch or something, I will legitimately just sorry, my brain just blanked for a second hardcore. But no, I will just like I'll want to watch like an episode or a movie or something like that. And this is one of those movies where it's like the door must be closed. Like I need to make sure, and the volume needs to be low, because I can't have anyone walking in and what's one of the ones that I love? It's and you have or like Les Grossman like hit that guy in the face really fucking hard. like I can't have anyone walking in on this.
That is my favorite part from the beginning.
Oh, really?
From the beginning of the movie, just Les Grossman being like, "Which one of you
has the best? Which one has the best?
Who's
like
a key
hand?
grip?
Who's the key grip?
Key grip, if you don't know, is the guy that does the lighting, holds up the lighting and the sound for the movie as the film like when they're filming in the camera. So if you see like a mic sometimes mess up and come down, it's because the key grip is relaxing, right? And the key grip has to be super strong, because some scenes and takes take a really, really long time. So he was like, who's a key grip?
Oh my gosh. Okay, I'm very glad that you said that because that did not make sense. I just assumed that key grip was like a very like funky term that meant that like you had like the best like fighting skills or something. I don't know why.
Well, it kind of it would be the guy that you expect to be the strongest because he has the whole the booms are super heavy.
Well, and on top of that, they're super long, so it's amplifying how heavy it is.
And so they're holding it for like a long time. So they have to be really, really strong.
Yeah. But then he goes over and he's like, and the guy shrugs. He's like, all right, like you're the one paying my bills, and goes over and like, boom. It was, oh my goodness, it's great.
Yeah. I've actually had to do key grip at a indie film set, and that's when I learned I was so sore at the end because you don't really. It depends on the director, right?
Yeah.
Because the director sometimes will say cut.
Yeah.
But then sometimes he just says, just keep going, just keep going. And they'll do multiple takes without actually cutting the take. And then so the actors are running through their lines over and over without cutting the take. And you have to hold it there very, very still.
That is
right?
impressive.
Yeah. And so I was so sore by the end of that set. And then, but I did that. I did the key grip. Like it wasn't a job. It was just like I was helping out my friends with a film. And so I did that little job or whatever, and I went back to watch Tropic Thunder, and when he mentioned key grip, and I was like, yep, I know why that guy has to be that huge, because I could barely take it. It was very, very heavy.
That works.
So we've kind of jumped the gun a little bit into the movie.
Oh yeah, sorry.
But that's okay.
But the point is, this is not a movie
we haven't even gotten to the third trailer with Robert Downey Jr.
No. It's Jack Black.
That one was
You're skipping
Black.
Jeff Portnoy. How could you?
Right, and that trailer makes fun of very kind of lowbrow comedy humor. I thought of Eddie Murphy with the Nutty Professor. You thought of something completely different.
Medea, like the family where it's like Tyler Perry is like everyone in the family, like that one. That's what I thought it was.
So both of those movies are similar in that way. They have the same person doing that, and so this is obviously making fun of those.
Yeah.
I felt a little bad for Eddie Murphy though, because he's actually a pretty great stand-up comedian.
Oh yeah.
I think at this point in 2008, he wasn't doing very well. And so
I think it was like an emergency movie kind of thing. He was just like, all right, like money.
Right. So that was it was kind of this was making fun of that idea, and it was Jack Black making fun of Eddie Murphy doing that.
Yep.
And then we get to the beautiful fourth trailer. Actually beautiful because it's cinematography is amazing.
Trailer. It's the best plot line for the trailer, and the title is a pun in like 3 different ways.
Satan's
and it's
Alley.
So great. So it's Satan's Alley, and you're introduced to like Kirk Lazarus, which is like a blonde Australian Robert Downey Jr.
Right.
And then my favorite part of the entire trailer is like, so it's like Kirk Lazarus as like
the
whatever,
5-time Academy
Award
winning.
5-time Academy Award winning. And then it's like, Academy nominated Best Kisser, Tobey Maguire. And you're just like, what is going on? And then you turn to Tobey Maguire and he has like this weird smolder face on, and you're like, why is Tobey Maguire smoldering at me? I don't understand. And then there's this so like basically
it was at once disturbing, and yet
I wanted to watch
absolutely
it.
hilarious.
It was both.
Right.
It was.
I think I remember I was talking to my brother about this movie, and he was saying like when he saw that trailer, he wanted to watch that movie because it was just so ridiculous.
I didn't really care about anything else. I was cool without everything else, but that one was the one that I thought would be like absolutely like beautiful and hilarious. And I was genuinely like, oh, like I remember this is the one thing I remember as a kid was I remember watching the trailers and I thought they were actual trailers. So I legitimately was like, whoa, that would be so interesting to go and see in theaters. Like, I wonder when it's coming out. And of course they don't have like dates that they're coming out or whatever. It's just like coming soon to theaters near you or something like that. But this is basically a story of 2 gay monks who are just very gay, and they learn to accept their gayness. And it's what was it? It was like 2 men learn to say no to their God and find love. And then at one point, like Tobey Maguire is like fingering Robert Downey Jr.'s prayer rope, and it's just the most like uncomfortable scene. And you're like, why is this uncomfortable? And it's just so confusing.
It's done so well. I was
Oh
I was
my
watching
gosh.
those movies. Yeah, it did make me uncomfortable because it's just
great.
it feels wrong like to watch it, but it's done so well, so that it's like this is so right in a sense.
Yeah, it was just it's a perfect fake trailer.
Right.
Perfect.
And keep in mind when I first watched this movie,
Yeah.
I'm a Protestant, right? And so I didn't actually know what a prayer rope was at that point in time.
Oh, that's hilarious.
And so I was
just
like,
like,
okay, this is clearly a
just
euphemism
random.
for, like
Yeah.
touching the
Yeah.
guy's penis or whatever. But but it was a rope, and I didn't understand what was going on. So I
You're
felt
just like they just wear ropes. It's cool.
right. I felt
Yeah.
so uncomfortable. And I
That
think
could
after
be
the
something
second
else.
time I watched it, I was like, okay, I got to look up this rope thing. So I actually looked up what it was, and apparently it was a prayer rope. And I was like,
That's
oh,
hilarious.
I guess that's a thing. My ignorance is I'm a little bit more educated now.
The more you know.
The more you know. Then we get the DreamWorks and then the
Yes.
the actual titles of the companies that made these, and then we get that narration.
And then that scene that I like where it's the little black screen and it pulls up the like 4 men, 3 men, 2 men, 1 guy got a movie deal, and this is the story of the men who attempted to make that movie. And then it goes into the actual story.
Yeah, that actually leads us really perfectly because I don't think we're going to be able to do our typical kind of summary and then walk through because there's just
There's
so much in this movie
going on with this.
And so just to summarize this movie a little bit for those who don't know, this is I'm hoping without spoilers because this is kind of given in the very very beginning of the movie.
Also, this will be spoilers, just because we haven't said that yet.
We
this
will have
episode.
spoilers
There will be
later.
spoilers.
Yeah, yeah.
There will be explicit content and spoilers.
But
Anyway.
as a summary that I'm about to give, this won't be spoilers.
Yeah.
Basically, this movie is about 5 actors, prima donna actors, that are roped into filming a film called Tropic Thunder, which in the movie world is based on
this
book called
based
Tropic
on real
Thunder.
life.
Yeah, and it's the whole idea of this movie is to make fun of the entire Hollywood industry and how ridiculous it is.
Which it does very well.
It does it really really well, and so it's in this particular movie is making fun of those like war films. Like it's very much based off of those Vietnam War films that came out.
Well, there were like all the 90s and the early 2000s. Like that was probably one of the reasons why like camouflage and those boots were super.
It's actually
in
before the
style.
90s with like the 80s
Yeah.
with Rambo and everything like that. You have these really great action films of those eras, but then because Hollywood is, I guess, a business, they just kept making more and more of these kinds of
This
films.
made you experience more serotonin. Let's give you more. Like,
Right.
Just anyway.
And so that's exactly it. So it's almost the same that we're doing with Marvel movies.
Well,
I
and the
think,
music
today.
industry. It's everything.
Yeah.
This is everything.
Every industry does this, right? It
Yes.
perpetuates
We
itself.
made money off this.
Right.
Can we do it again?
Can we do it again?
But different. Like it's just
But this time it's different. we're going to be referencing this all day.
so
And so
great.
this film is about these 5 actors, and this isn't there isn't much to the plot, right? The director of this movie is very frustrated, not really due to just his own frustration, but also because of the pressure from the higher ups of the producers of the studio. And so he tries to get these actors to
act.
and so he takes them on this quote unquote real journey that's that's suggested or very strongly encouraged by the original author of the book of Tropic Thunder.
He's like, you got to put him out in the real shit. Like they need to like do this. Like you're so close. And then he uses all these like really weird metaphors.
Yes, and that was what was so great about that interaction, right? And so sorry, so let's keep going for the summary for just a second. So they do it, but the director is removed from the plot very, 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 very quickly. And then these 5 actors have to make their way through an actual jungle.
Yep, a Vietnamese jungle where they end up in somewhere else.
Yeah,
don't
they aren't in Vietnam anymore.
Yeah.
They're in, I think the one of the characters say they're in Laos or something like that. And they get involved with this drug cartel thing, and then
There's just these drug lords, heroin drug lords, which is also an important point later.
Don't know about important plot line, but very important
Character development.
very important character development. And that's what's
Jelly
kind
beans.
of brilliant about this movie, right? This movie is. This time, as I watched it, I realized it's a movie within a movie within a movie. Right? No, sorry. It's not movie. Sorry. It's a story within a story within a story within a story.
Yes.
There's actually 4 layers of story that's going on.
Yeah.
And
side stories.
And you don't know which story you're watching at certain points, which is kind of interesting to think about.
Okay.
Because
Do you want to go through what you think the 4 stories are?
Well, the first story is you have the story of Tropic Thunder, right? You have that little story in
The book.
there, right? The book of Tropic Thunder, right? Because the first kind of image you have in the movie is them filming that movie, right? And so you have that's the story of Tropic Thunder. But then outside of that, there's the movie set story.
The actors
right?
actually acting out the movie from the book.
And so the film set story of that. But then the film set story is actually located within this film world.
Yes.
Right? And that film world you see at the end.
And it's the characters, the actors outside of the movie in the regular world.
Yeah. And then from there, you have our story, which is the actual real world, right?
Yeah.
That we're a part of.
And so it's our brains doing the compare and contrast of that world. Okay.
So it's a story within a story within a story within
being watched
our
by another story.
Yeah. It's
okay.
And it's just absolutely kind of interesting because if you think about let's say you believe in aliens or of course supernatural beings like angels, they're also looking in on our story. And so this movie it's just this
my poor guardian angel. Just
onion.
Why you do this? And I'm like, I'm sorry.
It's so well done. And so and then you have the characters which are very, very much
magical.
Yeah, everything about the characters. There actually is character development, real character development in this movie. Is there character
development for every character? I think there's character development.
There is character development for every character.
Except for actually no, even the director for how short of a time that he's actually in the film, he has character development.
I was thinking main character development, not the director.
All of them,
right? Most of them go through some kind of development. Not all positive.
Oh, maybe not Grossman. Grossman doesn't go through any character
development.
development.
He's not really a main character.
No, but Matthew McConaughey's character does.
Yeah, he
goes through character development.
Yeah, he definitely goes through character development, right? And there are these arcs that you can see and themes that you can follow, all centered around this main theme of just making fun of everything Hollywood.
Yes.
Right. And so that's the movie, right?
Yes.
That's the movie that we have come to love and enjoy. Tug Speedman. Actually, let's go this way. What is your favorite character in the movie?
Oh, don't do that. Oh, okay. Personal, lovable favorite is probably Sandusky because he's just so cute. Also, I love that actor. He's just a total sweetheart. And it's just because what is it? There's a movie. It's She's Out of My League or whatever. And it basically he's with this super, super hot chick. And because she's sick of dating assholes, and so it's something where she's like, you know what, I'm just gonna date somebody no one would think of me dating, and so she dates him, and they're actually kind of perfect together, and it's really cute. And he's the one who's doubting it. Right. He doubts because he's like, you're too gorgeous for me. Everyone in my life says you shouldn't be with me. I can't take the pressure, and so it ends up they have to figure it out later, and so it's something where it's really anyway. So I've seen him in other movies.
Do you think the actor is attractive?
Yes, in a very nerdy, geeky way. Yes.
Okay, right. Yeah. Not Hulk, hulky,
no.
chisel jaw kind of attractive.
He twig man.
He's right.
But he's still attractive and funny, and he's a good actor, and he's very, very sweet. And so honestly, I feel like he's a sarcastic, rude person, in person, because he's so sweet in the movies that he's in. Either that or he's really self-deprecating, but then he would just fit in with all of my friends. So it's totally cool. But
right, so he's kind of has the nerdy, geeky kind of vibe about him.
And no one remembers his name.
Right, no one remembers his name.
End.
Only Tug Speedman remembers his name. But what's interesting is that at the end when they're doing the Academy Awards thing, he's with this gorgeous girl.
No, he's with Jennifer Love Hewitt.
Is that?
That's Jennifer Love Hewitt. When he was talking about
oh my gosh, I didn't recognize her.
was with Jennifer Love Hewitt, and he's like, how is it dating her? She's so hot, dude. And then in the Oscar, he's actually dating Jennifer Love Hewitt. And it was just yes.
Oh wow, I didn't recognize her.
Yep, that's Jennifer Love Hewitt.
I feel really bad.
She is amazing.
Because
she's also she's a very, very, very sweet character in everything that she's done. I don't think I've ever seen her do anything.
I've seen a few of her movies, and I've kind of generally liked them.
I mostly know her from Ghost Whisperer,
the
TV show, and so it's something where
she was
in a TV show for a really long time.
She was in 13 Going on 30, right?
No. That is oh gosh, Jennifer.
Yeah.
I know her face. Yep. I have her face in my head, but it's not her.
So never mind. I don't actually know
Jennifer
Love
don't. Hewitt. No, Jennifer Love Hewitt is in Ghost Whisperer and several other movies, and she's very, very, very sweet, very pretty, and she's just one of those actresses that when you see her, you're like, oh, I know you, but you haven't always watched a whole bunch of stuff that she's in. So she's
she looked very familiar.
I
so I figured that she was an actress that but I didn't know it was
Yeah.
Jennifer Love Hewitt. That was
No.
wow, mind blown right
Yep.
now. Mind is blown. That's your favorite or that's your favorite character.
Sandusky is probably my personal favorite. As far as favorite hilarity goes, I feel like they're all so good. Honestly, it's another side character, but I really like Matthew McConaughey's character.
This time going around, that was what
Yeah.
he did that
Because he was
really, really
so
well.
sweet too, and my favorite moment is towards the end of the movie, and he's holding the picture of him and Tug Speedman, and
Right.
he's like, "We're friends. We've been together for like 12. I think it's like 12 years. Like it's a really long time. Just like we're together in this." And then he's holding a G5 owner magazine, and he's just like, "Which one's more important?"
That scene is so hilarious.
Such a good movie because he stares at the picture for like a few seconds, like
Right.
it's really there,
Yeah.
and then you pan over to like this gorgeous airplane, and it's just this.
And it's meant to be this serious moment, but
It
you just
is.
can't help but
You
laugh because it's
can't.
the setup is just so ridiculous.
Oh, it's so beautiful.
My
and
best
it's
friend of 12
So it's like 12
years
years.
for a G5. A G5 airplane.
Yep, and lots of money. Cue me. Oh, and then it's wait, because this is one of my favorite things. No, it's the thing with when he's talking about Oh no! This is gonna bother me. Wait, give me 1 second. I'm just so sad now, and it's just like, oh, okay. So it's like, Grossman is talking to Peck, Matthew McConaughey, and he's like, Speedman is a dying star, a
Right.
white dwarf headed for a black hole. Apple bottom jeans,
Right.
with the fur, and it's just like it's so. There's no other option but laughter.
Right.
There's nothing. There is nothing. Like if you're honestly anyone who needs a good laugh, in general, this movie has something for you.
Yeah.
If not the entire movie, at least like every 5 minutes you will be laughing about something because it's just that magical of an experience. So, and laughter is the best medicine. So,
I
this
think the
movie is
movie-
very good drugs.
I think well, it is the best medicine. So
It's better than heroin.
I've never tried heroin, so I guess you would if you're telling me that you tried it and it's better, then
Oh my gosh,
you
I
know.
couldn't even stop laughing long enough to say like, no, I have never done heroin. It's not on any kind of list of like to-do goals, but
hypothetically, she has never done heroin.
oh my goodness. Okay.
So I think just the my favorite character is a tie between Robert Downey Jr.'s character Kirk Lazarus and Les Grossman.
Yeah.
I
that makes
think
sense.
those two characters made such an impact because
Why isn't Les Grossman your favorite? I'm just curious. That was the one that I assumed. Like, both of those are definitely where I thought would be like your top two, but I'm like, why isn't Les Grossman?
Les Grossman isn't my favorite character only because we don't see enough of him.
Okay, because it's screen time.
Because you
that was what I thought.
have 3 scenes, 4
4.
scenes basically with him, right?
Yeah.
In the
yeah.
movie, he does make such a massive impression on you.
He's
that
such a powerful
yeah.
character. Like, you feel like he's a main character, but he's
Well,
not.
he does the perfect portrayal of a Hollywood producer, especially now that we have the whole, is it Steve Weinstein case and all this kind of stuff? Oh, no, Harvey Weinstein cases where, have you
No,
heard of the
I
Harvey-
do. I do.
Yeah,
I promise. I'm thinking, I'm like, there is actually a Steve. I don't remember who it is, though.
yeah.
But there
It's
are
not
other
Steve Weinstein,
people.
sorry, so sorry.
But
But it's Harvey Weinstein
Yeah.
and the kind of the revelations of him
creepy crappiness
being,
of
a
him
sexual
as a
predator
person.
basically
Yeah.
in the whole thing, and kind of forcing a lot of actresses and all these people to do things that they really don't want to do.
And that's just one of them.
Yeah. And Tom Cruise does such a good job
Yes.
portraying that character. It's really hard to remove that idea of, okay, this is the definitive Hollywood producer. It's a guy who is really gross, is fat, is short, is balding.
But he has so much energy and so much like confidence that everyone just bows down to
Right,
him.
yeah. And he's this boss character or boss guy that just has his way no matter what, even if he doesn't really have any idea what he's doing in terms of movies, he forces the film into what it is. Or into making money. And so that character is really, really great. So that is my second favorite character. I think Robert Downey Jr. is my absolute favorite here because
he's
you
amazing.
see so much of this character
Yeah.
in just kind of the development of the character through the entire movie.
He probably has the most development.
I think
Because even Speedman
Yes,
doesn't
I
have
think
as much
so.
development.
no, I think Speedman does have
And Jack
just as
Black
much
is still
development.
kind of going through withdrawal at the end of the movie.
Right.
So
Yeah.
I don't think he's fully developed just yet.
Well, I think Ben Stiller's character, well, actually both of them, both Tug Speedman and Kirk Lazarus, they have a very defined character arc. They have a start, middle, and end.
Yeah.
They both develop as characters. But Robert Downey Jr. just has this, I guess, this magnetism about him when he does this character.
Yes.
Just from the beginning with the trailers, when you see him like being felt up on his prayer rope by Tobey Maguire.
Yes.
And the facial expression that he makes.
And it's the weirdest, like, it's not like if he had been like just like, oh no, like, and no, it was like a moment, like it was like, what is going on? Like it's just,
Well,
it's so. It was a very,
it's
very
orgasmic,
intense moment. Yes,
apparently.
it was an orgasmic facial expression, and it was so concerning. It wasn't even confusing. It was just concerning for a brief moment of like, what am I getting myself into?
Right. And so when you have him, and then you get his character. When his introduction to the Tropic Thunder story is him getting the pigment alteration, right? You see, you don't really see him.
Because he's a method actor.
Right, he's a method actor.
So, of course, because he gets cast as the black guy,
Right.
because America doesn't know how to cast people who are actually
Right.
properly, culturally, and ethnically fitting for the part,
Right.
they're like, nah, you have good acting style.
Right.
We're just going to put you here.
Most people...
Hopefully no one will be offended.
I think, I shouldn't say most people because I've never done a survey or anything like that, but the majority of people that I hear from when they saw this movie, either in theaters or whatever, when they first see, because this actually happens before the pigment alteration scene, because they're doing the film set, right? And the helicopters come in, right? And then Robert Downey Jr. runs the helicopter.
It really took me a while, though. It wasn't until they did the pigment alteration where I realized that it was him, though.
Yeah, so that's what I mean.
Oh,
Most
okay,
people don't realize that is Robert
Yeah.
Downey Jr. And it's because he acts it so
He does.
well. He did an interview with Joe Rogan where he talks about this movie, or they talk about this movie, and he talks about how you can't really do this film anymore in this modern day because
It's too offensive.
It's
Everything
just
about
way too
it,
offensive.
especially this part, but everything about it.
What's really interesting is that his actual black co-star in the movie, Brandon T. Jackson, he said
The guy who plays Al Pacino.
the Al Pacino. when he
great.
says, when I first read the script, I was like, what? Blackface? But when I saw him act, he became a black man.
Yes.
It was just good acting. It was weird on the set because he would keep on going with the character. He's a method actor. And so this this entire character is very much a self-referential for Robert Downey Jr., right? I think he understands just how self-referential it is. And so he actually puts himself in this role and that's why he's at the end, it kind of doesn't make sense because he says, I'm a dude that's playing a dude that's playing another dude. Yep. Right? And so you can go back twice in the actual movie. You can go back he's playing he's playing Sergeant what is his name? Oh no.
I don't remember either.
I forgot his name.
Dang it. He's playing the black sergeant, basically.
Right. He's playing the sergeant.
Because that's important, apparently.
But that's Kirk Lazarus also right behind him.
Yeah.
Right? But then it's
who else is he under that?
Right,
And
so it's Robert Downey Jr., right? And so it's a callback.
Playing a dude, playing another dude.
And that's why everyone's so confused. They're like, wait,
is there another character?
What other character are you playing?
Well, okay, because he does the idea, because the way that they phrase it in the movie is that he still hasn't gotten over the Satan's Alley character.
Yes.
So what they say is, it's like, I'm not Sergeant blank.
Right.
I don't remember any. And it's like, neither am I Father O'Malley. Like, it's like a really bad accent. And then it's like, and then he goes
How
back
do we remember Father O'Malley and not his actual sergeant's name? That's so bad. That's how powerful that beginning trailer was.
He was powerfully moved. We were powerfully moved. It was just all good things. But yeah, and then he goes, it's like I'm Kirk Lazarus, and he says it like the fake Australian accent, which I cannot reproduce to save my life at the moment.
Right.
But yeah, and so it's this great thing, and it's really cool because in that scene you have Sandusky like, guys, come on, pull your shit together, like Kirk Lazarus, you're the reason why I even got into acting, like da 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 da, and then Al Pacino's like Speedman, like I saw all of your which we also at this point know that like through certain things that are revealed. There's a reason why he watched the Scorcher movies. But Al Pacino's like, no, like I watched your movies like so many times in middle school, dude. Like you were like my hero. And so Kirk Lazarus goes through the thing of like, oh, I'm not so and so. I'm not so and so. I am Kirk Lazarus. And has a little
he doesn't say
revelation
that.
thing.
He says, I don't know who I am.
Oh.
Yeah. He says, I don't know who I am.
That's really sad.
I
forgot about
which
that.
is kind of funny.
Yeah.
I don't know. I can't do that. I can't do the
Yeah,
Australian accent either. I don't know
I
how
can
you
do a
did
British accent, but I can't do an Australian one. Apparently.
what he so this
Wait, no, but
character.
the point was that like, and then like, so he goes through that little kind of character, like go to the center of your problem kind of thing, like
Right.
awareness, and then Speedman's like, but my son, or whatever it was that he said, and he's still trapped, and he's like, we'll deal. We don't have time for this. We'll deal with this shit later. Like it's beautiful.
It was so Robert Downey Jr. before doing this movie, he actually he did a film where he portrayed an Australian person.
Oh.
And so what the original character was supposed to be Irish, but Robert Downey Jr. kind of like said, I'm not comfortable playing an Irish person. I have to do an Australian kind of. I can do an Australian actor.
Amazing.
And so that it's
Oh
there's
my
so many
goodness.
self-references in this movie that it's hard to like peel back all the layers of almost
This is
like
just
all,
an
all the
alternate
layers of
universe.
meaning.
That's all this
Right.
is. It's just alternate. It's footage from an alternate universe leaked to us.
I think the thing that made me love Kirk Lazarus was that scene, the full retard scene. Never go full retard, because that scene, the scene
Yeah.
itself is just so funny, right? Never go full retard.
Yeah, it's just a shocking thing to say.
Right.
But then he explains, and you're like, oh,
It's a
actually,
guy.
you're right.
It's a guy in blackface.
Yes.
saying this.
You went too far in your movie.
Right.
I literally changed the color of my skin, but you went too far. Oh god.
You know, he was actually nominated. Robert Downey Jr. was nominated for
What?
the best actor, best supporting
For
actor.
this?
For this role.
Oh my gosh, cool! Because I was like, I know he didn't actually win anything for it, but I didn't
didn't
actually
win
know
it.
he was nominated for it, and so I was like, this was such an amazing acting that like he should have, something should have happened.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, that
Yeah.
makes me
He
feel a
got
little better.
nominated. He got beat out by Heath Ledger for the Joker of The Dark Knight.
Oh,
Yep.
okay, that's actually.
So I actually have no
Okay,
doubt
for
if this movie.
2008, that makes sense though.
Yeah.
They would have chosen the dark movie
Yes.
that depresses everyone
Well-
versus the relatively happy comedy.
Well, no. It's Heath Ledger. Like his
I know.
Joker is
Was
such
amazing.
a performance. He still defines the Joker
Yes.
today. Like in video games and comic books, in future movies.
In my opinion, he is the best version of the Joker,
yeah.
and he's the best acted version of
like
the Joker ever.
even with Joaquin Phoenix's current Joker out,
Which
is
okay.
really good.
It's
It was really
good.
good. I think it was really good.
It was really, really good. It was just, it's one of those movies where they put you in there without, like, which, like, I get because when we were talking about, like, my poetry book, and you were talking about how, like, it's like, no, you shouldn't give your readers, like, a break. You shouldn't let them breathe. It's like, no, they need to be drowning in emotion the entire time because that's just how you do it. And that's what that movie does.
I didn't say
Joaquin
that exactly,
Phoenix is,
but if that's how you
kind
interpret
of,
it,
that's
sure.
kind of how it was said, phrased, anyway. But yeah, with Joaquin Phoenix's Joker, that's what you're doing is you are drowning with him
Yeah.
the entire time, and there is
Right.
no chance for air, and that's why he goes crazy is because he's suffocated.
Right. Well, I mean, you
And it
understand
just-
his craze.
Oh my goodness.
So that's that Joker part, but at least most people that I know and have talked to,
Yeah.
the definitive Joker is still Heath Ledger's Joker,
absolutely.
right? And so and of course Heath Ledger had passed at that
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
point, right? And so it was a posthumous. And so
Oh, that made it even. Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
I think if this movie had been released in 2009 or 2007, there was
And Heath Ledger's another method actor, right?
no.
He's not a method
He's
actor?
not really a method actor. Yeah, there was a rumor going around in 2008 when he did the Joker that because he got lost in the character, he committed suicide.
No,
or
that
whatever.
would not because of that, but because of the way that he was when he was acting out the character. My understanding was he was a method actor, but not that. It was
Well,
that was,
from
that
the
rumor wasn't
reports
why.
on the Dark Knight set, what the cast members would say was that when he was on set, when he was doing the actual filming, he would be in character, but then right when the director said cut, he would be immediately back into his own kind of personality.
Very cool. Okay.
So I wouldn't think that
Never
he's
mind.
a method
Yeah,
actor.
if he snaps back out of it that fast, then never mind.
Yeah. But Robert Downey Jr. is a method
Yes,
actor.
100%.
And he does this character just it's absolutely so well. And I think his character, because it portrays the hypocrisy of Hollywood, which matches so well with the theme of the movie. Again, the idea of a man, an Australian man, in
white
blackface.
Australian man.
Yeah, with blue eyes, by the way.
With blue eyes, bright, brilliant blue eyes. That was also really well done when he took out the context to the blue eyes. And
And
it was
you
like,
could
Robert
see
Downey Jr. has brown eyes. So it was like, he took out the contacts.
For more contacts inside his eyes.
It's so great.
And so for him, an Australian person to portray
Literal
blackface,
blackface,
and then tell another actor, you went too far. You went full
got too
retard.
deep into character.
That was just, and then the entire way through, he like when they were watching him on stage like perform for the I don't know, these drug cartels or whatever.
Yeah,
and
the
he was
potentially Vietnamese drug lords.
we don't know because
I
I don't remember if it was actually Laos or Cambodia that they were in. I don't think they ever confirmed.
Because there was
but
something with an M too, like Myanmar or something like.
maybe it was something like that. But Myanmar's like really
there
far.
was something with an M and something with an L, and I don't remember what they called.
Yeah, so they were watching him, and then not Robert Downey Jr. Sorry, Kirk Lazarus was actually giving like commentary on how Tug Speedman had improved his performance. Like he didn't go full retard this time.
Like, nice.
And he's able to relate to the audiences so much better. It's just this
It's like, what's going on?
What is this guy? Like, this is so absolutely ridiculous of a character. And so I think that is my favorite when the character itself matches so well with the theme. I think it just jives with me. And it became my absolute favorite.
Also, his really trash Vietnamese. Like
it wasn't Vietnamese.
Whatever. What is it?
That's why I'm a little bit confused. It's actually Chinese.
Oh.
Yeah, it's Chinese.
Okay.
And so what's really interesting is that when he starts, his Chinese is okay, especially for an American, right? His Chinese is decently okay, but as he keeps going, he just completely loses it. And it's just a bunch of, you have to kind of read the subtitles because I speak Chinese, and so I can understand him as he's talking in the beginning, but as he just keeps going, I lose the thread because I have no idea what he's saying at a certain point. I'm just like, oh no, what is he actually saying? And it morphs into this just ridiculous thing.
My favorite line is still the "Observe God's mistake" reveals Jack Black. It was so good.
Yeah, and that point, it was that point that his Chinese completely like just goes, because you can hear the syllables.
Yeah.
But because Chinese has tonality in it, there's four tonalities in Chinese, right? You have a oh man, how do you do this? You have a neutral, you have a rising tonality, you have a falling then rising tonality, and then you have a falling tonality.
Interesting.
And then you have a short tonality, right? And so these are things actually. One of the theories that people have, because there are a lot of Asians that have perfect pitch.
Yes.
Right? And it's not really a racial trait, because I don't think you can find the genetic marker for perfect pitch.
Oh.
What they've theorized is that because Chinese people have these tonalities in their language, that very, very early on, they're trained in kind of, I shouldn't say they because I'm Asian. We're trained. I don't have perfect pitch though, and so they're trained in like kind of listening for melodies and harmonies in a sense because of the language, and that is what gives birth to that perfect pitch very, very early on. And it's
all of my children will be raised knowing Chinese. I won't speak Chinese, but my children will.
Well, no, you can actually learn perfect pitch without learning Chinese. There are you have to go very early though. You have to go very early.
Joke.
Oh, okay. I mean, there are a lot of people that say that actually. Like, I want my kids to learn Chinese because that is the second largest language
It is
in the
true.
world.
There are a lot of people who want to like Chinese, Arabic, and Spanish, right? And English. Those are the main
Not in that
four.
order. It's-
Not in that order. I'm saying just in like those are the four like
Yeah.
in general.
In terms of business languages, it's I believe it's English, Chinese, and then French, and then Spanish.
Oh, because French is for the sophisticated ones.
Was that a French accent?
No. That was my snob voice.
Oh, okay.
That was my snob voice.
All right, to all the French listeners out there, we apologize.
Okay, you can apologize. I
Okay.
personally,
I apologize.
I love the French language. My problem is that I love languages, and so I get very annoyed when people look down on other people for not speaking it properly. Like, hey, at least they're trying to learn your language.
Bonjour.
That hurt.
There you go.
That
See,
hurt.
now you know. Now you know
But
the
there's
pain
a
of the
difference
French.
because, like, okay, if you actually spoke like that, I'd be like, oh man, like it would be more
Wouldn't
like
you
you,
cringe inside?
you poor American, like you can't, like I'm so sorry for you. But that's different than like observe God's mistake. Like,
God's
why would you? Like, I don't know. I'm just like I'm so used to like if you don't have like if you attempt French and you don't have the perfect accent, like a native accent, they will just judge you and be mad.
yeah.
And it's like the same thing with like Americans who get mad at like anyone who doesn't speak English properly. So it's probably a little hypocritical. Like I personally don't do that, but that doesn't mean that like a whole bunch of like Americans don't like mock people who don't speak English correctly because
Sure,
that's
right.
totally a thing. But like I don't like that, and so I don't like it in any culture, and so the French are stereotyped for it a little bit more than we are, just by a smidge. And so I get very frustrated. So I have actually vowed that I'm like I will learn fluent Spanish first
Right.
before I bother with French, because I'd rather go to France and speak Spanish than go to France and speak French, because I'd rather be mocked for my Spanish by other people who know Spanish than like have to try to speak French to anyway, so
International travel tips. This has been international travel tips by Rosemary.
yes,
With
yes.
Rosemary. Maybe we should have a segment in our podcast
Learn
for that.
Spanish so that way you can go to France and speak to French people. They'll judge you less.
So, back to Tropic Thunder.
Yes.
What were we even talking about?
Honestly, we were just going through characters and character developments and the beauty of this movie in general.
Yeah.
But
I think I finished with why I love Robert Downey Jr.'s
Yeah.
character so
Yeah.
much. So
actually, okay, I'm curious. What was because one of your things is like director's hand. So what? How did?
I
'cause-
was going to talk about this. Actually.
Yeah,
Yes.
I want to know what your views on that are, because like it's something where for me, like yes, I can't see it, but that's because I've only watched so many Ben Stiller movies. Like, so it's not that I can't.
He only has
see
so
his-
many movies.
Yeah, he only has a limited amount of movies, so it's really hard to see what his directing style is or know his directing style because he doesn't have one that's really obvious.
So when I look at director's hand, it's not directing style, right?
Okay.
When the style of the director interrupts the actual film, that's when I get taken back.
Mm-hmm.
So the example would be something like Quentin Tarantino. It's very obvious what
Very.
a Quentin Tarantino movie is.
or
Not
even
that.
like James Wan.
Sorry,
James Wan, a horror.
James Wan. I've actually never seen
It's-
any of his movies.
You
so.
don't necessarily need to because you're not super into horror, which is not a problem. But it's something where like the whole like Conjuring universe is like James Wan, and it's something where he has some very, very, very like specific things where like you watch a movie and you're like, this is a James Wan movie because he does it on purpose.
Okay.
So
Yeah, so right, so those kinds of markers
Thanks.
really they do bother me. But there are certain styles that I'm not bothered by. So when Guy Ritchie does his fast motion kind of stuff,
Okay.
it doesn't bother me. I think that's actually the only one that kind of
okay.
is so obvious. Who directed the Ocean movies? Oh man, I forgot.
I feel like that was one of the main actors too.
No.
No?
Ocean's 11 was directed by somebody, but that director is also very famous for his directing style. But typically, I'm not really bothered by that. And so when I say director's hand, I mean I can see the director trying to point the camera at mid close up for this character, and this is supposed to express the character's emotion. Right. Sorry, not mid close up. I should just say close up.
Apparently, it's
right?
Steven Soderbergh.
Yeah, Steven Soderbergh. Yeah, he has a very, very distinct style, and it's pretty
know.
distinct in Ocean's 11. Not so much as some of his other movies, but he's really, really great. And so I'm not bothered by style, but rather if I can see the director pointing a camera, I get taken back out of it, right? And so with Tropic Thunder, it doesn't bother me because I come into the movie understanding that this is not a total spoof movie, but it's in the vein of a spoof or a parody movie, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I understand that. But one of the things that kind of was interesting about this watch through, because we're taking notes, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're taking notes, and we're the way I take notes is I have character notes, and then I have plot notes, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then theme notes that I highlight and everything like that. But what was really great, and what indicated to me that this movie definitely does deserve to be in my top 5,
Mm-hmm.
is that halfway through the movie, I realized I wasn't writing notes anymore. I was just so lost in watching
Okay.
the actual movie
Okay.
because it was so entertaining
Yeah.
and so funny. I could write quotes and everything like that because those quotes stand out, but
But
just
not analyzing.
right,
Yeah.
I couldn't analyze it because there was so much that I was enjoying. Every time I started watching again, it would take me about 5 to 10 minutes before I realized, oh no, I need to write something down, right?
That's
And that's
funny.
what really marked for this movie. That's what really marked me for it. This is definitely a movie that I can't see the director's hand because
You're so engrossed
I'm so
in the
engrossed
movie.
in the movie. Yeah,
engrossed in the movie that like you can't
right.
you don't need to pay attention to
Even
it.
even Les Grossman, I was engrossed so much
Yeah.
in his character. Just everything that he was saying, like when he was when Matthew McConaughey comes into into his, I guess, office, and you hear him yelling at his assistants.
Oh, it's so beautiful.
It's it just makes me laugh because it was so well done. It's like this is exactly how I would picture a
Yeah.
gross Hollywood exec to be like.
Another favorite line of mine from him was the like Matthew McConaughey's like, they're gonna kill him. And then it's like, and then they're talking and whatnot. It's like, and then way down the road, we
No,
file an
he doesn't say
insurance
"and,"
claim.
right? He says, "And we will mourn."
Oh no! Oh, that's so much worse. I only heard the "and."
So he was like, he's just gonna die, and then Les Grossman looks at him, and you can see him. You can see,
Yeah.
even though it's not a wide shot. Sorry, it's a mid shot.
Yeah.
And he's sitting back.
Yeah.
Right, and you see him measuring Matthew McConaughey's character.
Yes.
He's like, okay, what do I have to do to convince you
This is okay.
that this is okay? And so he goes, and we will mourn. And then he couldn't help it but go, in the papers. We will mourn in the papers.
And then way
Yeah, way
down the
down the
road,
road,
we file an insurance claim.
And it was so gross, but it was so
It's
perfect.
so great. It's so great.
And so I think he steals every
He
scene.
really does. Like, okay, another great one is like you get the ransom call from the drug lords who are like, we have Speedman, we have Simple Jack, like we want what was it, what, $1 million, and they
50 million.
upgraded $50 million, and they upgraded to like
Ransom is
100
$15
million.
million.
And then you have like Matthew McConaughey's character kind of like freaking out a little bit, and so Grossman grabs the phone from McConaughey and is like, "I will massacre you. I will fuck you up." And then after the hands it back is like, "Find out who that was." like he just steps in and he takes care of business, and then he's done.
My
And it's
favorite
just like,
part
what?
was the part after that, the scene after that, when he goes, or at least from Les Grossman, my favorite part would be after that when they know they're terrorists now, right?
Yeah.
And they go and they're talking, or they know they're drug cartels, not terrorists.
Oh, no,
right?
yeah.
And
I know
they're
what
talking
you're
to him,
gonna
and he goes, that sounds like a great idea, but I've got a better one. How about I send you a hobo's dick cheese? And you can go F yourself, right? And then he goes click, and he goes, we don't negotiate with terrorists. Just first of all, they're,
Oh my god.
they're not terrorists.
So brilliant.
They're drug cartels.
Yeah.
And the fact that he used terrorist, like the actual racist implications of that character just by using
Yeah.
that line
Yep.
is just so well done. It's hilarious. And so
And again, one more probably like last great one-liner from Grossman, which is just and it's in the beginning of the movie when the key grip is like decking Cameron. I don't remember who he's supposed to be in the movie,
director.
but it's like Cameron whatever.
no, it's the director.
But yeah, he's decking the director. And it's something where he's like, I'm going to shove my fist up your ass so far. Every time you have a thought, you'll have to tiptoe around my wedding ring.
Yeah. Just the hypocrisy of this character is so massive. Wedding ring?
It's also something where like, wait, someone married
Yeah,
this man
someone-
and is still married to this man?
Just this
Watch him be a
idea.
sweetheart at home.
He probably
He's
is
the nicest
No,
person at
like
home.
he is a manipulative person,
That's
and so
true.
at home he probably is this, he portrays this very sweet person.
Yeah.
But you know,
Then he goes and just twerks later on through the
yeah,
credits.
he just
Just a big baller.
yeah. So every line that he has is so classic.
It's just there's no, and again, this movie in itself is amazing because almost every single line in the movie makes you laugh. And so with him, it is every single time this man opens his mouth to say something, you are either laughing because of the way he looks or you are laughing because of what he has just said. And there's no exception to this.
Yeah, I think just when he was talking to his assistant at the end, he was like, a
nutless monkey can do your job. And because he's like, you're like, I couldn't do this without you, dude. And he's like, wait, really? He's like, no, of course not. A nutless monkey could do your job. And then they're like having a bit of a moment. It's like, yeah, but like you did a good, like it's all right, cool. It's blah, 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 blah. But a nutless monkey could do your job. And it's just like,
yeah, he's like, yes, sir. All right, he just leaves. I think this movie is. Why is it in your kind of? Because it is in your top 10. Why is this in your
it is the
9th one, right?
It is number 9, but it's also okay. So again, most of my movies have to do with nostalgia and joy and just like the memories and just like how happy and joyful I feel when I watch these movies and how much I want to share them with other people. And so the reason why it's so low on my list is because Tropic Thunder is not something I can share with anyone. Now, I think anyone can enjoy this movie, but it's one of those things where it's like there are certain people that I want to see me in a certain light, and it's one of those like I can't just go to church and be like, hey, we should have a movie night. Guess what we're watching? Tropic Thunder.
Maybe you should do that and go to church and do that.
That's not going to be well received by everyone, especially because someone will get confused. They won't know what the movie is, and they'll bring their children. And I'm like, let's not do that. So it's a little low because it's not something that I can recommend to everyone that I care about. The reason why it's in my top 10 is because it's genuinely, it is the funniest comedy I can think of.
Right.
I cannot think of another movie that is so ridiculous.
Well, technically, you do have one other.
I do.
We won't say the name of the movie, but we do have another comedy on your list.
But it's one of the, like, again, you're gonna not like it because it's one of those like it's a spoof movie that takes itself too seriously, and I love it for that. I love when they do that because it gives you
you're telling me what I'm not gonna like.
Oh, I know. Okay, you didn't like Princess Bride. My standards and expectations for you have been lowered. Okay, I'm not expecting you to like it. It's just one of those I will enjoy watching it again.
Right.
And I'm going to force myself to be amused at your discomfort, okay? Anyway, but it's something where, like, I love that movie, but, like, it's a movie, like, the other movie is, like, a movie that I can feel and think and, like, do other things throughout the course of the movie while also enjoying the romance and the laughter and the way things go, and it's beautiful and it flows, it's seamless, but it's something where it's not as genuinely like your sides, your gut hurts, your face hurts when you're done with the movie, and you can't breathe at certain parts because it's so flippin' hilarious. Like every time that I've watched, now I think I've watched it like maybe 4 or 5 times. I think I watched it like 4 times this year, and it's something where each because I think I watched the
You mean
first,
Tropic Thunder?
Yeah, Tropic Thunder, and it's something where like I watched Tropic Thunder by myself the first time, then I watched it with a friend, then I watched it with another friend. Well, I technically watched the second half of the movie with another friend, but like I watched it with another friend, and then the last time that I was watching it, the same friend who watched it the second half of the movie with me, I was like, hey, I'm gonna watch it again. Do you want to watch the first half of the movie? And it was just something where each time, like, I couldn't stop laughing and just remarking about how great it was. And same as you, like, I wrote a bunch of quotes down from my notes. I put in some things, and I have a lot of thoughts about these things, but I could not analyze for shit while I was doing this. So it's genuinely.
It is a movie that's hard to analyze, and I think starting from my top 5, starting from top 5. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. These are movies that I have these are movies that so completely entrench me in the world of the movie.
Like,
it's hard for me to analyze them. I have to actually stop a lot of these movies to really analyze them. And I think that's what makes this movie so high on my list. I think it is my only comedy
Yes, no, we discussed
yes,
this.
yeah.
It is your only comedy.
This is my only comedy in my
You have a
top
couple
10.
like honorable mentions and like later ones and
Right.
whatnot, like that are down in like your 20s or whatever, that
Right.
are like, these are comedies that you love and adore, but nothing in your top 10
Yeah.
except for this one, which gets number 5. It gets it's the last one in your
Right.
top 5.
It's not even like 10. It's 5.
It's
which
5.
which is interesting to me, I guess. So that's why I love Tropic Thunder. For all our listeners, if you haven't seen Tropic Thunder by now, hopefully we haven't spoiled it too much for you. But
Oh, there's a lot left in the movie, by the way.
we would totally recommend this movie. It's absolutely hilarious. Again, there is profanity, as you've heard from our talk. And there are bits and pieces of it that are very gratuitous, but for me at least, the gratuitousness actually serves the point of the movie because it is making fun of the whole enterprise of Hollywood.
It's an amazing movie. It really, really, truly is. And it's it's definitely a movie that like my kids are not allowed to watch it until a certain age,
Sure.
just because it's.
Would you limit it to 18?
I don't know. I'm still okay. First of all, I don't have kids. Okay, so I'm still working on developing parenting skills. I'm still working on like having healthy relationships with myself and others, and like trying to.
Well, because this
figure out
movie
things
is rated
work.
R.
So it's one of those just
right?
like
So
I
that's
don't
18 and
know
up.
because
I
like
think it's 18 plus.
technically my mom like waited to actually go watch an R-rated movie in theaters with me till I was 18. Like that was like part of her like 18th birthday present to me was we watched. It had Natalie Portman in it. I don't remember. It was it was a comedy. It was like a really funny weird
Natalie
thing.
Portman.
I think it had James Franco too. I don't remember. Anyway, but it was like this dope little cute comedy of like medieval times kind of thing.
Oh, then
And,
I have no idea. You said Natalie Portman and James Franco, and I was thinking
I don't
that I think I was thinking of No Strings Attached, but that's
Yeah.
Ashton Kutcher, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
But the point is, like, I don't know if I would do that or not because it's also one of those, like, okay, my kids are totally gonna, like, see things before this, whether I want them to or not.
Sure.
Like, I'm not gonna be like, you're Rapunzel. I'm gonna lock you in a tower to, like, protect your chastity and what. Like, no. Like, you're gonna see things. You're gonna hear things. You're human. You're on the planet. Stuff's gonna happen. And so it's one of those, like, I don't know where to draw the line. I'm working on creating the line, but I don't know where it is. And thankfully, I don't have to know just yet because
Right.
I don't have to deal with that.
I think what's surprising
So-
about this movie is that despite the gratuitousness and despite the profanity, there's not that much. I can't really think of nudity as an instance in this movie. I can't think of real violence, like instances of real violence in this movie. Gratuitous violence, as in like a Quentin Tarantino or The Matrix.
One of the first scenes is Sandusky's guts coming out of his body. He's like, I think I can put it back in.
But it's not real.
I guess it's funny.
It's not.
Okay.
It's making fun of like Saving Private Ryan and all these other
Okay.
movies where the guts are coming out, and it's just this.
Okay.
He's like, I can't put it back in, and it's just
Mm-hmm.
it looks like, well, maybe some people wouldn't think it's funny, but it just looks like spaghetti sometimes.
It actually kind of freaked me out at first.
really?
Yeah, because
Okay.
I wasn't expecting it.
Wow. Okay.
Like, I wasn't expecting that at all. That was not what I was thinking I was going to go in. And I was like, all right, cool.
I think for me, when I was watching the movie, that was the first sign that this movie was a parody movie because at that point I
Yeah.
didn't really know. I hadn't watched that many movies, and so I didn't know Rambo. I didn't know,
I still haven't watched the Rambo movies.
It's fine. They're
I
not
know,
the
but
greatest.
It's one of those, like,
They're 80s action flicks. Very very much an action flick movie. I don't know if you can really surmise any meaning out of them. But so when I saw that, I was like, oh, that's Saving Private Ryan right there, because I had seen Saving Private Ryan before. And so yeah, that's it for Tropic Thunder. Our next
works.
segment, we're going to be drawing from the hat. And so
yes.
Are you
Is
ready?
it my turn or is it your turn? Did I pick Tropic Thunder?
you pick Tropic
Yes,
Thunder.
so
I think
it's your
it's
turn.
my turn to draw from
Look
the
at
hat.
how organized we are. I forgot who picked it last. Woo! Okay, so we have the hat, shuffling and things. All right.
Are you ready?
All right,
I'm
Isaac.
ready. All right. And picking the movie. It's folded in, right? The movie name is folded in.
yeah.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
All right. You ready? The next movie is going to be The Dark Knight.
Woo!
Whoa. That is interesting. All right. So
That's
we're
very
going to be
musical.
watching The Dark Knight. which we mentioned in this movie. Heath Ledger. Heath Ledger won the Best Supporting Actor. I believe it's Best Supporting Actor in 2008 against Robert Downey Jr.
Yeah.
And so, actually, I think,
This is actually
did Tom
good.
Cruise also get nominated in that same year for
Did
this
he?
movie? I think he did.
That makes sense.
I think
but
he
I
got
don't know.
nominated. It was him, Robert Downey Jr., and then who's that guy's name? What's that guy's name?
Ben Stiller?
No, not
Who
Ben
are you
Stiller.
referring to?
No, I'm talking about the Academy Awards for that year.
I don't
for
know.
2008.
I'm the wrong person to try to give you that information.
Angelina Jolie's father.
I don't know who that is.
Oh, okay, never mind. All right, so anyways, they were nominated.
Is
Heath
he
Ledger won.
famous? Am I supposed to know who that is?
So those were connected in 2008.
Okay.
And so now we're watching The Dark Knight for
Heck
this
yeah.
coming week.
And I get to do even more research.
All right.
Yay. I have seen this movie. That's not what that sounded like. I hadn't seen the movie. I've seen this movie. I love this movie. It's a marvelous movie. There's a lot going on in this movie. And
Yeah,
I know.
there is a lot going on.
I know.
All right, from there, we're going to go to our Dime segment.
Okay, cool. So as I was going through things, so first of all, I had an amazing selection picked out for today, okay? I had it like a week ago. I was so excited. I was so happy. Then when Isaac was talking about the end, I was like, I'm going to look for it and pull it up on my computer.
That's why she was so quiet for a while, guys. I had to take up space.
So I
the
lost the selection.
Oh.
So I have another one. It works. Just know that you would have been dying right now. It would have been so hilarious. So instead, you're just going to have a mild guffaw on my behalf. But okay, so this is a Robin Williams quote. For fun, I'm going to do two. But basically, so the main one, and it's just, because this movie, again, is so great. And it's something where okay, so the quote is, "For me, comedy starts as a spew, a kind of explosion, and then you sculpt it from there, like, if at all. It comes out of, like, a deeper, darker side. Like, maybe it comes from anger because I'm outraged by cruel absurdities, the hypocrisy that exists everywhere, even within yourself, like, where it's hardest to see." And so, but that's Robin Williams, and it's something where, like, it just makes so much sense with this movie because everything in this movie is something that, like, is real, and it is in Hollywood, and it pisses everyone off, whether you're in Hollywood or not. Like, the carnality of the movie, the absurdity of the movies, the trailers themselves, like how much you're selling yourself for this, and how much is there, and like they have like Jack Black's character is hooked on heroin. That's a major plot point in the movie, is that one of his famous actors is addicted to heroin, and like it's done because that's how he's funny. That's how he makes money.
Yeah.
And that wasn't supposed to rhyme. Anyway, but
what's fascinating about that is that it's his anger over people making fun of him that gets him out of the addiction of heroin. That's really interesting.
Even though he was the first one to be like, my farts are musical. Like just the same man who did that was just like.
But that was covering up. It was covering up for an insecurity.
Yeah.
The realization of that insecurity helped him to overcome.
And he's talking, and I feel that's also why Sandusky's my favorite, is because he's kind of the innocent in everyone, and so it's something where he's able to like draw out like why all these people started doing movies, or what's actually like messing them up right now that keeps them from going.
I actually think his character is very much a parody
of that character.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
This kind of geeky nobody, right? He's the parody of that, the pure-hearted moral character that reaches out to everybody.
Yeah, well, because he's just as human as everyone else.
But that's what I'm parodying, right? And
okay.
so that's what this movie is parodying, and no one listens to him.
That
even
is true.
in the end.
Yeah, nobody listens to him. Even Speedman finally gets his name right, and still just like, I have a connection with these people. Just, what the heck?
I actually think Matthew McConaughey's character is the purest of the characters.
He's my second favorite character because he's so sweet, and he gives up a G5 airplane and lots of money for his friend. Lots of money. And then his friend goes and wins an Oscar, and he's so proud and so happy that he gets his
G5 at the end.
He gets his G5 at the end. He gets all of it, and he sacrificed it all, and he won it all anyways. He did the right thing, and he actually, it is actually a really cool thing for him. Anyway, but
with that, we are basically done with this podcast.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for listening to our sort of analysis, just basically gushing over Tropic Thunder. We'll see you guys next time. I'm Isaac.
And I'm Rosemary.
Have a great week.
Bye.
Everybody knows you never go full retard.